أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful.
كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله.
You are the best people, raised for the good of mankind. You enjoin good and forbid evil, and believe in Allah.
One indicator of the tremendous amount of service that your community provides humankind. Without asking for a statement of faith, you provide education. Without asking someone's belief, you provide medical care. Without asking for someone to agree with you, you feed them. This is the best any of us can be. And for that, for your inspiring me, in providing me with a living example of what faith is.
It is true that you say love for all, hatred for none. But the most important thing for this community is this is how you live your lives. And you are an example to all of us.
But it is Humanity First who are there doing the feeding, doing the help for the people who are starving in those countries. And I think that is something that, as all members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association, that we should take pride in the work that is being done and being carried out.
إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون.
Verily, Allah enjoins justice, and the doing of good to others, and giving like kindred, and forbids indecency, and manifest evil, and transgression. He admonishes you that you may take heed.
And the work that the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association are piloting in Ghana and in Burkina Faso on renewable energy is in fact something which I think the rest of the world should look at and copy and see as a way forward. My wife, who is not able to be here today, but Juliet, has, with the inspiration of what she saw in Burkina Faso 3 years ago, that the Ahmadi women were doing on the edge of the Sahara Desert, in terms of bringing clean water, educating the children, working with the women of Burkina Faso.
I am not a Muslim, but a Christian. But ever since my first contact with it, I have had the deepest respect for the Ahmadiyya branch of the Muslim faith, for two principal reasons. The first is its tolerance and its rejection of the attitude towards members of other religions, sometimes described as fundamentalist, the attitude that they are enemies of the truth and so beyond redemption. Ahmadis see those who belong to other faiths as beloved of God like themselves and capable of salvation by their merciful and compassionate Creator. The other reason I so respect the Ahmadiyya faith is its completely rational approach to religion. Its belief that the intellect is to be applied to religious questions, that God requires us to use our minds in thinking about religion as about all other topics.
I was particularly impressed to hear what the Minister from Uganda just said about the remarkable work of Humanity First, which we had an opportunity of discussing with some of their officials immediately before we came in.
The verses of the Holy Quran presented by Wilder in his video titled FITNA are not applicable to general situations. Rather, these verses pertain to a specific situation. The Prophet of Islam ﷺ and his companions faced severe persecution at the hands of their opponents for almost 13 years. But they did not react in order to avoid bloodshed. As the persecution and atrocities reached their climax, the Prophet ﷺ and his companions migrated to Medina. They left their homes and all of their belongings just for the sake of peace. But the enemies followed them and did not allow them to live in peace there as well. It was only in this context that God granted them permission to defend themselves and to fight back against the oppressors. The verse granting the permission to fight back clearly explains that in what circumstances and for what purpose such defense is permitted. Thus the verse says,
أذن للذين يقاتلون بأنهم ظلموا وإن الله على نصرهم لقدير الذين أخرجوا من ديارهم بغير حق إلا أن يقولوا ربنا الله ولولا دفع الله الناس بعضهم ببعض لهدمت صوامع وبيع وصلوات ومساجد يذكر فيها اسم الله كثيرا.
Permission to take up arms is given to those against whom war is made, because they have been wronged, and Allah indeed has power to help them. Those who have been driven out of their homes unjustly, only because they said, "Our Lord is Allah." And if Allah had not repelled some people by means of others, cloisters and churches and synagogues and mosques, wherein the name of Allah is oft remembered, would surely have been destroyed.
This is the first verse found in the Holy Quran which speaks of a permission to wage a war not against those who disagree with your faith, not against those who, having heard your message, reject it, not at all. أُذِنَ لِلَّذِينَ يُقَاتَلُونَ. بأنهم ظلموا.